Hey guys, it's Miss Arlequin, and tonight we are going to start looking at our very first Scholastic Codex writing assignment for the school year. It is the end of Unit 1, and we're going to be working on our own narratives. So tonight, as a way to prepare for our own writing, we're going to evaluate a model narrative for the exact same assignment that we are going to be writing in class. We're going to look at this model narrative and try to evaluate the way this student author used basic narrative techniques. So one way to write a fictional narrative is to create characters and to highlight experiences or events using narrative techniques like dialogue, relevant descriptive details. It needs to be relevant, meaning it has to fit or make sense. Something that's irrelevant wouldn't be logical, it wouldn't fit the character, it wouldn't fit the storyline. So having a character who is brave, run away from the scene of a crime, like Batman running away, wouldn't necessarily make sense unless there was some explanation for why he was running away. And you want to have well-structured event sequences. So you want to use either chronological order, or if you're going to use an advanced technique like flashback, the flashback has to make sense and has to be clear to your reader. So today we're going to look at the model narrative that was written by a student, and it is based on the same performance task that we will be writing. As we look at this model, we're hoping that we'll get a deeper understanding of what this type of writing looks like specifically for this task. So this model can be used as an example of how we can write our own short stories that, remember, are going to highlight the challenging experiences of a character. Now for your narratives, you are going to choose either June from Tuesday of the other June, or you're going to choose the speaker from the poem Life Doesn't Frighten Me. This student chose the character from the extended reading, which comes at the end of this unit in our workbooks. It is a narrative called Dirk the Protector by Gary Paulson. And if you are interested in reading that story, a copy can be found on Edmodo in your ELA group folders, and can also be found in Google Drive in the Codex resource folder that I've shared with everybody. All right, so let's start by reading the story. The Scar by Mia Walters. "Quit your crying, boy," bellowed my father as he stomped into the kitchen. I myself never cried a tear in my life. He loomed over me, looking as mad as a hive of hornets that's been kicked out of a tree. Frightened, I tried to show him the angry, blistering skin on the hand I'd burnt, cooking on our grease-splattered pan. He swatted my hand away as if it were an annoying insect. "You ought to be happy you even got hot food. You hear me? Happy." It got so that whenever he looked at me with his eyes spitting venom, I'd back away, saying nervously, "I'm happy, Daddy." Soon enough, Happy became my name. Years later, while my buddy Weasel and I roamed the streets looking for prey, he said, "What's your real name, Happy?" I had to think for a long minute. Then I shrugged. "Don't remember." Later that night, Daddy was waiting for me, as usual. "Well?" he snarled, looking like that rangy mutt that took a bite out of me once. I dumped the cash onto the table. "Is that all?" he snapped, grabbing the bills. I kept $5. He stopped counting. I saw a flash in his eye. "We got ourselves a little problem then," he said, holding out his hard, beefy hand. "That money's mine." I held the bill tight in my fist. The scar from my long-ago burn was glossy in the lamplight. Something inside me grew tight and then snapped. I pushed the bill into my pocket. "Goodbye, Daddy," I said, turning away from his thick, stunned stare. "You always told me I should be happy." Well, I aimed to be. Okay, so now that we've read the model narrative, what I would like you to do in order to prepare for tomorrow's class, where we're going to look at this model narrative a little more closely and analyze the techniques that this student used, I would like you tonight to create a flow map. On your flow map, you're going to record the characters of this narrative, the setting, the problem, the 3 events that lead up to the climax, and then what the resolution of the story is. So remember that The resolution is tied to the problem, and it follows directly from the climax. If you need to review any of these story elements, remember that we watched some plot and narrative videos earlier this year. Those videos are still available on Edmodo and also available on my YouTube channel. So please feel free to rewatch them. That's one of the nice things about having these videos, is you can rewatch them as many times as you need to review or study things that we've learned in the past. Bring your flow map to class tomorrow along with your copy of the SCAR, and we will look a little more closely at it.